And if brands can get behind it the right way and encourage that type of connectivity, it'll just build that brand love, loyalty, and the rest happens from there. We're always selling. At the end of the day, when I say what Experiential does, it builds brand love, it builds loyalty, it's helps with social engagement, media impressions, but
and it's a lot of times it's the backdrop for the content you're creating, right? It's like 100%. You have a bunch of creators, why not get them to show up all at the same time and have an exponential effect on a moment in your marketing calendar where they can be part of the experience too.
We always say too when we're talking about the really how closely connected experiential and content are. Experience is that fire, but like the wildfire.
Yeah, experience is the set.
It's the spark.
Yeah.
It's the spark.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Ad Podcast, coming to you from beautiful Possible in Miami. We have Christine Capone, the president of MKG, in the house with us to talk a little bit about her shop and her experience. Christine, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your role and what you guys do and what brought you to Possible this year.
Cool. I run an experiential agency called MKG. So we are all things brand experience. We've been in the business since 2003, which is actually a pretty long time to run an experiential shop, but we're really proud of that. We continue to reinvent and be ahead of trend, and it's allowed us to be in the business this long, which a lot of people can't say that.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's, I'm here to talk about what we do and to just connect and meet people, and I love in person. That's why I do what I do.
I can imagine. Yeah. You're drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak, here at an event, right?
I just think everyone's a little bit better in person than behind a screen. So
100%.
This stuff works for me.
I love it. So from an experiential perspective, B2B, B2C, a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. A lot of both, I should say.
Okay,
so
awesome.
We do both, and the way that we always talk about it is like B2B is B2C at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's B2B2C
like
now, right? People buy from people, not companies.
Yeah, that's just how it is, and that's how the world works, right?
Yeah.
So like we kind of approach everything with a similar, from a similar place. Obviously, different formulas get you different results, but we do both. So we work for a variety of different brands too, from the Googles and Metas of the world to Delta Airlines to brands that now maybe aren't so up and coming, but were at one point. So we worked with Warby way back in the day.
Yeah, Warby Parker.
Yeah, Base is one of our favorite clients right now. They're just doing such fun stuff, and we've been with them since the beginning. So
let's go.
All over the map. It could be a huge moment for a launch, or something to just be fun and get some press out there, to something a little bit more cookie cutter, like a conference. So all over the map.
Love it.
Yeah.
So I feel like Experiential is having a moment, I think as AI continues to make people question their eyes and wonder, like, am I seeing things that are real? A yearning for in-person experiences are showing up as a trend, especially in Generation Alpha. My daughters ask to be driven to the mall. They want to go see movies with their friends. They ask for point-and-shoot digital cameras or Polaroid cameras for Christmas, or old school, boom boxes and, things that are analog. It seems like the more AI gets people to question their digital existence, the more they crave in-person experiences. Talking about Delta, it was just quoted that the millennials are the most traveled generation in history. Since they've been measuring, millennials officially take more trips than anybody ever in the previous generations. How important do you think it is for brands to show up in the real world and meet consumers, whether it's putting brands in the hand or building an experience that's memorable? Why is that important as the digital world continues to get less and less real, I would say?
Well, they have to do it to meet people where they are. So I think it's a mandate at this point. If you're not doing it, it's kind of silly. But also, how great is that? That like your kid wants to go do something with her friends and not just be texting all day, or not even texting, DMing through whatever. Like, it's so great. So for me, I'm in this business, I'm in experiential, and I obviously got here because of some of my like values and what I believe in. And when I think about it, I've always done things that were very in person, you know, whether it's sports or the arts, or I've always been out there doing stuff. And I think it's so amazing to see this generation starting to want to do things again. So I'm just proud of that for society.
For sure.
And it's nice that we have a nice little spot in that too. And if brands can get behind it the right way and encourage that type of connectivity, it'll just build that brand love, loyalty, and you know the rest happens from there. We're always selling. At the end of the day, when I say what Experiential does, it builds brand love, it builds loyalty, it's helps with social engagement, media impressions, but
and it's all, a lot of times
selling.
it's the backdrop for the content you're creating, right? It's like
100%.
you have a bunch of creators, why not get them to show up all at the same time and have an exponential effect on a moment in your marketing calendar where they can be part of the experience too,
We say
both
it
from
all
a
the time.
participant perspective and engaging the fans, right?
We always say too when we're talking about the really how closely connected experiential and content are. Experience is that fire, but like the wildfire.
Yeah, experience is the set.
It's the spark.
Yeah.
It's the spark.
It's the
and
backdrop.
then from there,
It's like why I come to a conference every
Yeah.
week is because I want to meet interesting people, but I also want something that's visually interesting that's not my office. You know?
Exactly. And we build everything that way. So if we're working with someone on an opportunity, the first thing we look at is how are we going to build this and create this and make it so amazing for the people that are there, but make it really shareable after the fact. Make sure that we can continue that love and that momentum. It used to be kind of the opposite years ago. Like brands would come to us and they wouldn't want to give you access if you couldn't be there. And that's been a huge shift.
Because it was almost like it cheapens the experience for those that did make the effort.
Exactly.
But then it also kind of creates a little bit of like exclusiveness, and some brands thrive off exclusiveness.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, but there are others that want to be more inclusive and want to and realize that not everybody wants to or gets to go to Coachella, but they might want to see what's going on.
Yeah, and it's like a peek behind the curtain for people that can't be there. They understand the brand more holistically and understand what their values are and where they're spending their time. So yes, there's certainly a time and a place for things are just like
VIP,
behind a closed door.
velvet rope.
But for the most part, let your consumer in.
I love that. So the experience economy is currently $600 billion a year, projected to go to $2 trillion, I think, by 2030. There's more and more moments in the marketing calendar: F1, Augusta, South by Southwest. Next year we have America 250 World Cup and LA 28 coming shortly after. Experiential is really hard from the perspective that it costs a lot of money to get your name on these marquee cultural moments.
Yeah.
What are some interesting ways that you're seeing brands that maybe can't scratch that marquee sponsorship in their category, but they can still take advantage of these cultural moments and be part of the conversation and infiltrate it in a way that's maybe a little bit guerrilla, a little savage, but it gets them in the conversation.
Yeah, I think there's some brands that are doing it really well. Base is an example of a brand that we work with that was at Super Bowl, but they weren't a sponsor of the Super Bowl. They just understand that they have an audience and they have a customer that cares about sport right now. I think the world in general, we've been through a lot, and entertainment, sport, culture, there's like an intersection now that's just blended.
Yeah,
So,
I remember my girls didn't care about the Super Bowl, and they're 10 and 12, and as soon as Taylor Swift showed up on the scene, now they actually want to watch the Super Bowl. They like the commercials, but it was like the Taylor Swift effect made it more appealing to everyone.
Exactly. So they show up in a way, and we were there with them, of course, that brought to life like the baseball.
Yeah.
So it was taking all different little tidbits of their brand and what's important to their customer, and looping in a little bit of that lens of football, Super Bowl, the entertainment that was there that day. But you could do it in ways that doesn't force you to spend eight figures on a sponsorship. So I think it's really just about making sure that you're staying true to your brand and making sure that you have partners that will push you and make you stay true in whatever type of activation that you do, but there's certainly ways to do it. And then, by the way, I don't think everyone should do the same thing or try to get in on the same properties. So that's
you
the
need
other
to pick,
thing.
and you shouldn't do everything. You should pick. How, like, do you think there's an optimal, like, pick one a quarter to try and, flex around?
Yeah,
or?
I think it's really important for any brand to understand who their customer is, who they want their customer to be, who they are, what's most important to them, and really build a schedule and build a program that supports those things. But don't always try to dip in everywhere, because when you try to be everywhere, you try to talk to everyone, you're nowhere and you talk to no one. So that's one of the most important things that we encourage people to do is like, let's talk about you and you as a brand, who you want to be attracting. Is it the same as who you are attracting? And let's build that plan from there.
I love it. Do you think there are any undercover sub-communities or events or things happening in culture that haven't quite gotten mainstream brand attention that you think are good opportunities to brands to show up in maybe the next year?
That's a really good question. I'm about to have my second kid, so I think a lot about being a parent.
Yeah, totally.
And I think there's like youth sports in general.
Oh, that's such a good, just, like in my community in San Diego, they just built this thing called the Front Wave Arena outside of Oceanside. And it's like a tier 2 sporting facility. And I say tier 2 in a very loose, it's literally like kids soccer all day long, but the Clippers Division 2 team plays there. They have really cool sporting events, but it's like a complex for kids sports with like great food and beverage, great amenities. It's definitely out of this world as far as like, and they know that they've got these people captive and they have to come. So why not make it an amazing experience?
I love it, and I think it's good for community and good for the kids in general. I think the other side to that is if brands can show up and sort of help and support parents. So if you're spending all your time at a Little League field or, at like a surf camp, or like you and your partner need some support too. So I think thinking about the kids is really smart. I also think thinking about the parents is really smart, because we only have so many hours in the day too, right? So I'm always thinking about what could make our lives better, and a lot of it is like stuff that doesn't exist, So I think there's a couple lenses to think about youth sports through. One is making it the best experience for kids, and the other one is how can you support parents and allow more parents to be there and do things and have a good experience and
make it a little bit more
make sure
plush.
they still have groceries in their fridge when they get home, and just make life a little bit easier. And I say sport, but the arts too.
Yeah,
across
it's activities. Like my daughters are at dance comps all weekend, and it's like I did one of them just to like experience it, and it's like it's morning to night. It's craziness.
To night, and it's expensive.
I think I did like a Starbucks run and like breakfast run and a lunch run. All within this period of time. And I felt like just a Uber Eats driver.
Yeah, and also that's your community now.
Yeah.
Like your community is the dance
dad.
parents, the dance dads. So like trying to build a little community around that community, I think is really interesting.
Yeah, I think that's really
place
smart
for someone to come in and
parents, their affinity with their kids, it's unmatched, right? If you can you can add value to that experience, you'll have a consumer that really, rewards you with loyalty. And
absolutely.
And
your kids might not say thank you, but they will notice, so they will care too.
Yeah.
And then you are also looking like that next generation of who's still my customer. Mm-hmm. You're already talking to it. Kids, they see, they hear, and if a brand is helping you, your kid knows.
Totally.
Your kid knows.
Love that.
Yeah.
All right. Fascinating conversation. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with us in the audience today. Hope you have an amazing Possible.
Thanks, you too.
If folks want to connect with you, learn more about the agency, or stay up to date with your thinking, where would you like to send folks?
Ooh, great question too. Probably our website. It's www.thisismkg.com, and we have a contact us page. You email us there, and I'll make sure it gets to the right person, whether it's me or somebody else. But that's probably the best bet.
Amazing. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks for having me.
Cheers.